This is a Hot Pie Original.
All right, interesting time to say the least. Think about this. Let it sink in. Let me try this. Do we now have, I think we do, but I'll ask the question just to make conversation. Do we now have anti-vax rage? Not the anti-vaxxers raging, but you, the vaxxers, raging at the anti-vaxxers. So, in other words, I think we might, in the last 24 hours, you can feel it coming. You can feel it setting in. You can feel it with the stock market. Anti-vax rage. It's a new thing. So follow me here, because I think you can feel the frustration building. You can see the frustration. You can hear the frustration. There is no appetite. Can we agree on this? There is no appetite for being even partially shut in again. I wish the person well who has to go out there and say, hey, everybody, can you go back inside now? We don't have an appetite. I don't know how you rein us back in. I don't know if it's possible to rein us back in and say, I'm sorry, you need to go back inside. I'm sorry, that wine bar you're sitting at, you're now got to be 6 feet apart again. All that stuff all over again. I just don't know how you can convince us to go there. But we also know the stories. We know what is building. We know where this is going, and that's where the anti-vaxxer rage is coming in. It's depressing enough that we hear, if you have kids, you know how depressing this was. It was depressing enough that we're all stuck at home. It's depressing to watch a kid get off a school bus in a mask. It's just feels wrong, and it's depressing. We get it. I'm not going anti-vaxxer on you. I'm just saying it's depressing to take it in, and now we have the realization that they may have to wear masks again, and it sucks. So we know the direction we're headed. And the anti-vax crowd is the one now getting the blame. And I mean, it is coming in waves. Statesman.com about 12 hours ago. And this is true of probably most places around the country. In fact, Austin may be on the better side of the increase in COVID cases and hospitalizations. I mean, look at some place like LA, and it's almost out of control again. Headline, Statesman.com says Austin likely to revert to stage 4 COVID guidelines as cases and hospitalizations continue to rise. Hospitalizations and cases of coronavirus are continuing to rise, and on Monday night reached levels that are likely to send Travis County back into the stricter stage 4 of Austin Public Health risk-based guidelines. Austin Public Health's guidelines, ranging from the lowest threat of coronavirus spread at stage 1 to the highest of stage 5, have been used for about a year to help residents understand the level of risk to the community. Most people in most places have similar scales. Unfortunately, we all know these scales too well. Under stage 4, Austin Public Health would recommend fully vaccinated people again wear masks while gathering in groups both indoors and outdoors, and also while shopping, dining, or traveling. Unvaccinated or partially vaccinated residents should no longer gather in groups at all and only shop, dine, and travel as essential. Business owners under stage 4 can still decide whether or not to require customers to wear masks. What a horrible spot again. Right? So needless to say, for good reason, we are frustrated. And then the frustration is starting to build up. And that's where I come up with this idea. Are we in a phase? Some of you may have already been there, of the anti-vax rage. So yesterday, the last 24 hours, the average person, you go about your life. I mean, when you host a talk show, you're a byproduct of the news. You're a byproduct of the events going on. That's the way it goes. So naturally, you follow the stuff when it's your job more than other people who'd like to tune it all out, right? So it's somebody who has to, by job description, follow the stuff that is going on without preaching too much about COVID, follow what's going on. And yesterday felt like the anti-vax raging day. And I think it's spilling over into today. So I want you to follow. I thought this was pretty good. Now we're getting to a point when this stage 4 starts to hit in cities around this country. We're going to be in a desperate place. Because I don't know, again, I don't know if you're going to go sit 6 feet apart. I don't know how we're going to follow the rules again. I'm just not quite sure we're going to be very good at it this time. So the rage is building. And we're going to get to a point where we're desperate. And that's the point of me playing a bunch of different highlights on a day of anti-vax rage. So follow this almost in order, and you can feel the whole thing building up. I mean, this is a byproduct of the entire news cycle. Okay. I'm trying to figure her out. Let's just stop for a second. You know, the job of White House press secretary seems to eat you alive. I mean, you just go back in time, the life cycle of someone who was the White House press secretary seems pretty short. You know, the president ages in dog years, except for Trump. These White House press secretaries, they age in dog years. Remember Sean Spicer, who was seemed like he was on Red Bull every day, and then you had what's her name, McHenry or whatever her name was. I mean, the history of these people is pretty interesting. So I'm noticing something. Jen Psaki, very measured, probably goes about the job the best way you can. Very measured, very to the point. Do you feel like she's getting increasingly angry? I feel the tension with the tension that she's now showing.
Vaccine hesitancy. As COVID-19 cases rise, if this is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated and you guys are having a hard time getting a certain part of the population to go get the shot, would President Biden ever call former President Trump and say, I need your help, let's cut a PSA and tell people to go do it?
Well, first I would say that what we've seen in our data is that the most trusted voices are local officials, doctors, medical experts, civic leaders, clergy from time to time, and that is where we've really invested our funding and our resources. We've seen almost every former president play a role in putting out a PSA, making sure people understood in the country that the vaccine is safe and effective. We don't believe that requires an embroidered invitation to be a part of. But certainly any role of anyone who has a platform where they can provide information to the public that the vaccine is safe, it is effective. We don't see this as a political issue. We'd certainly welcome that engagement.
Wait, what was that? Did you say an embroidered invitation? That could not have felt very good. You know who has to be laughing out loud about that one? You know who's giddy about that one? The Kardashian of all presidents, Donald Trump. That could not have felt good for her. So, in other words, you're failing. You're failing at your boss's most important scorecard. It's driving you crazy. We all know it's driving you crazy for good reason. You know, maybe you're desperate enough to call D, get him to help. D could fix this. Get him to roll up his fat triceps and get him out there. How did that feel? Not well. She's not happy. That could not have gone over well. And probably she's sitting back there about to rip her hair out saying, I cannot believe I had Donald Trump dumped on me today. That's it? We're going to solve this problem with him? Okay, so it keeps going.
Thanks, Jen. I have a follow-up to Peter's question about Trump, and I have my own vaccine question. In my follow-up, even if the administration doesn't partner with the former president, would it consider highlighting or acknowledging in a greater way his role in creating the vaccines to assure the rural voters who still support President Trump but are hesitant to get the vaccine?
Well, I think do you have data to suggest that that's the issue that's preventing people from getting vaccinated?
Well, we're seeing that the communities that have the lowest vaccination rates did seem to vote for President Trump.
Okay, but what I'm asking you is if information related to whether or not the former president got credit is leading people not to get vaccinated, or is it information like microchips in vaccines and it causing fertility issues, causing health issues? Because you're drawing a few conclusions there that I haven't seen in data, but maybe you have that information to provide.
No, but I think I think it's an issue. I mean, I think it's a common sense that these are people who've supported him. These are people who are hesitant to get vaccinated. I don't think it takes a lot to draw the conclusion.
Well, let me be very clear. Our objective is to ensure all Americans will get vaccinated. That would be, of course, we'd love that. Democrats, Republicans, independents. It's not a political issue to us. The virus does not look at people's party affiliation. We recognize that. The president's going to govern for all people. What I'm conveying to you is you're jumping to a few conclusions that I don't think data backs up in terms of what the impacts are. And what we're seeing is that misinformation traveling in a range of means, whether it's social media platforms, some forms of media, some elected officials, is having the biggest factor as it relates to individuals not getting vaccinated because people don't have access to accurate information. Go ahead.
And I'm about to punch you in the face. I would pay money in that sequence for the next person to raise their hand and say, why don't you just call Donald Trump? And about that moment, her head is going to explode. If we're to do an SNL skit, if we're to follow the trajectory of her building anger, she is going to get away from that podium and she's going to kick the next pinhead right in the stomach. Oh, I wish the next question would have been, Donald Trump said he could help. Then the next question, but the MAGA hats only listen to him. Next question, I mean, then her head explodes. I mean, she just catches on fire at the podium. All right, so then, whether it's calculated or not, I don't think that it is. This anti-vax rage. If it's calculated, I don't know from whom. You know, already Joe Biden has had to walk back. Facebook is killing people. So I don't know that this is necessarily. Yes, the government is trying to get the word out there. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. And that is, listen, knuckleheads, the market's crumbling because of you. The schools may not work out because of you. The bars may not work out because of you. Knuckleheads, that's enough. There is that. No doubt about it. But it was the story of the day. So then, just to show you how impactful the anti-vax rage or anti-vaxxer rage is, here comes, I think his name is Carl Cameron, was a longtime reporter, not a host, a reporter for Fox News. Guess where he goes? He went after his old network.
Even as unvaccinated Americans continue to drive up COVID case numbers. Let's talk about this now with former Fox News chief political correspondent Carl Cameron. He is now the co-founder of Front Page Live. And I wonder, I think I know the answer, but I want to know from you, why are hosts like Tucker Carlson doing this?
I think he has a mullet.
Ratings.
First
Just money.
And ratings
I think he has a mullet.
ultimately become revenue.
Look at that.
And that's the name of the game. Whoever gets the most clicks on social media makes the most money,
That was
gets
my
the
hair
most
in
fame,
high school.
gets the most attention. And that type of activity is not journalism. It's not news. It's gaslighting. It's propaganda. I mean, just last week, new infections went up 70%. And according to the CDC, the NIH, which oversees the CDC, it is absolutely 99.5% of those infections are people who haven't gotten vaccinated. I mean, come on. Anybody who disputes that sort of stuff is putting people's lives at risk and potentially killing them.
No question about it. And we see this red state, blue state divide in vaccinations. So you say it's
Why
about
do you
a
have a
business
mullet?
model.
You're on
Isn't
TV.
killing your own supporters a bad business model?
Absolutely. It makes no sense whatsoever. This is literally the metaphor of the lemmings running to their own slaughter. People who are listening to that sort of stuff instead of the science, which goes way, way back, we would not be the world we are today if it weren't for penicillin. These types of things are real, and to suggest that they're not, particularly if you have no no education in science and medicine. It is just plain lying to the American people and putting them at risk of death. We now have this situation. I mean, we saw Sanjay over there in Japan. An American athlete at the Olympics is out, and God knows how sick he could get. Mm-hmm. This is wrong for journalists to be doing this, or people who call them that, whether it's Fox or One America Network or Newsmax. These are all cable channels that are perpetuating lies, and it has to be stopped. In fact, I've been working hard. We've got a coalition going on now called Persuasion US with a number of organizations.
You got to get a haircut. Okay. I mean, you just can't keep that up, man. He is on a trajectory of Mike Gundy type of mullet. But, all right, no one's arguing. I get it. I'm just saying, I'm showing you there is a level of understandable building rage, anti-vaxxer rage. Now, I'm going to suggest to you that we're to a desperate point here in just a minute. We're to the cash point in just a minute. But then watch how this stuff in a day of anti-vaxxer rage, watch how it builds up. This just makes me laugh. I'm having a glass of wine in my corner, enjoying myself, consuming information, and I laugh out loud. He just makes me laugh. I just want to watch him all day, every day. So then, to prove to you that Fox is getting, I don't know if they feel it. I don't know if anything's going to change. I don't know what kind of impact today and the last 24 hours is going to have on your drunk uncle or your granddad or whoever is an anti-vaxxer or your soccer mom. John McClellan is the co-founder and creator of ATX Hot Sauce, now in all 50 states and several retail outlets as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to let this social media rock star chef walk us through 4 different sauces, and then I'll taste and we'll tell everyone why they should buy. You can give the science behind these, and then I'll make the simple recommendation. Go to atxhotsauce.com. All right,
I don't think anybody's heard the website.
Yeah, I know.
By you, Jeff,
I've never heard that.
It is atxhotsauce.com.
I'll say
I got that one right.
45 times, atxhotsauce.com. So let's do it.
I brought 4 flavors here, and we're going to test your palate today. Okay. And I only brought 4 because I didn't think you could handle 5 or 6.
Yes,
probably a smart move. Yeah. And so the first one we're going to try here, it's called Beet Heat. And just like the name implies, it has beets in it. It's made with red Fresno peppers. Red Fresnos are red peppers that are they're hotter than a jalapeno and a little bit less than a serrano. So not super hot here, just a lot of really good flavor. So we're going to start with this one, and then we're going to move up the chain.
Okay. I've had the Beet Heat, but okay.
Yeah, we're going to try it though.
It goes well with a cab. All right, Jeff's savoring Beet Heat.
I'll even do it with you, so that should be all right. Now remember, it is hot sauce.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's hot sauce. Trust me, man.
Wait, is that one hot to you?
No, a little.
Yeah. The great thing with the fermentation process is you get a bunch of the flavor right up front.
Yeah.
And then the heat comes, but then it dissipates pretty quickly, especially with the red Fresnos. You know, this is not a very spicy one, but it is a very tasty one. Goes on great on sandwiches.
Beet Heat.
Beet Heat. B-E-E-T. Heat.
All right. Go to atxhotsauce.com.
That's right.
I don't know what's going to happen with them after 24 hours of a tidal wave, including some at Fox saying this is enough already. So here comes every woman's dream. That is Geraldo Rivera. Shirtless Geraldo is baked, I think. He looks baked. And I don't know about that mustache. Remember Raleigh Fingers back there in the days of the Oakland A's, the pitcher? That's Raleigh Fingers. There's Geraldo out in the woods, and he's pissed.
Hi, happy Sunday. Hate to disturb you on your day off, but there's some things I want to say and need to say about vaccine skepticism. I am extremely concerned about the fact that there are way too many Americans who are skeptical about the efficacy of the vaccine, the Moderna, the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. They are safe and effective. They have been used now by almost 200 million Americans. So stop the bullshit. They are safe and effective, period. It is not an accident that every single person in the hospital right now in Los Angeles for a COVID-related sickness is unvaccinated. unvaccinated people are getting sick, period. Now, I hate vaccine skeptics who are spreading malicious lies. Now, I have examined my colleagues at Fox News who have been alleged to be part of that process. I caution everybody, including them, to be careful what you say. I also hasten to add that the charges against them were grotesquely exaggerated. They were talking about personal freedoms, and I believe in personal freedoms. They weren't talking about the vaccines not working. The vaccines work. Damn it, the vaccines work. If you're sick in the hospital with COVID, there is no doubt that you were unvaccinated. Now, I also fault the so-called progressive media for seizing every little case that involves, this one causes some Guillain-Barré, this one causes this. There's 6 people that got sick here, 200 people got sick there. Almost 200 million Americans have been vaccinated. I don't mean to come on so strong. Okay. I believe this very, very deeply. Unvaccinated people get sick. Vaccinated people do not get sick. Do not get sick. And anyone who's giving you a bullshit story otherwise is lying to you for political or ideological reasons. Get vaccinated.
All right.
Unvaccinated people get sick.
All right, go back to the woods. Go. There's some bears back there, Geraldo. Look out. Look out, Geraldo. He's in the Himalayas. All right, Nobel Prize for Geraldo Rivera. You feel it yet? I mean, we can do this for like 6 hours. I took it all in and laughed out loud at that part, but he's not. What he's saying is not incorrect. We get it. Then you get to primetime TV and you get to the infomercial. I don't see the show all that often, but I do play highlights of the infomercial on this show. Somebody somewhere had an impact. Somebody somewhere felt the rage. The anti-vaxxer rage was felt. You can say it's now the responsible thing to do. You can say it's out of fear. You can, I don't know what was building, but ended up in prime time with even Sean Hannity saying, but begging the viewers to get a vaccine.
They're out there where people have serious underlying health conditions that could be aggravated by the vaccine. That's why it's important you research, talk to your doctors, etc., and then you make the decision in conjunction with your doctor, research on your own that is best for you. I don't know your medical history. I don't know your current medical condition. And the courts so far appear to be on the side of mandates. For example, a federal judge on Monday upheld Indiana University's vaccination requirement for students, despite arguments from plaintiffs that such rules violate their right to body integrity and medical privacy. Now, just like we've been saying, please take COVID seriously. I can't say it enough. Enough people have died. We don't need any more death. Research like crazy. Talk to your doctor, your doctors, medical professionals you trust based on your unique medical history, your current medical condition, and you and your doctor make a very important decision for your own safety. Take it seriously. You also have a right to medical privacy. Doctor-patient confidentiality is also important, and it absolutely makes sense for many Americans to get vaccinated. I believe in science. I believe in the science of vaccination. Now, there are rare exceptions. Tonight, for example, we're spotlighting a story surrounding a young woman.
You get it. By the way, he didn't say it. I would dare him to say it. In that Indiana case, that's a Trump appointee. I guess you're not allowed to say that. That was, and for good reason. I mean, I'm sorry. These universities have every right to maintain, because if they don't, they run a greater liability of maintaining public health. And a judge stepped in, a Trump appointee stepped in a case, and there's going to be more of these. And I think this is why this particular case was so important, that he was about, well, he didn't highlight that one. He highlighted some teenage girl who's felt like she was being forced into vaccinations or whatever. So he went from that segment of saying, hey, look, they told me to talk to you, and I am. Check. I did it. All right. Moving on now. But the case that started, or he tried to use as the backdrop to the conversation, was about an Indiana University case involving a student that said, I don't have to get vaccinated. And a federal judge, a Trump appointee, said the school has every right to mandate it. Period. End of story. Done. How far this goes to the courts, further this goes to the court system, I think it's pretty clear that the schools have every right to say you have to be vaccinated, period. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Okay, so there it ends in prime time. What happens with this, I think, is pretty interesting. I think it's either somebody is important enough getting to the Fox people or anyone else for that matter, or you just feel the collective rage. And enough. We are not going to be shut in again. And I think it's more of that than it is some sort of strategy to say, hey, you got to tell that granddad in Odessa, Texas, in his rocking chair having his 5th cigarette, you got to tell him to get vaccinated, man. I don't know that it's that. Either way, we're desperate. Either way, we got to figure out how to get past this because you're not going to be shut in again. You're just not. I looked around last night and having the second glass of wine, laughing at Geraldo, thinking there's no way these people who are vaccinated are going to do that thing again where we sit 6 feet apart. They're just not. I mean, it is not going to work again. That business owner who barely survived is done this time. They're not going to we can't go back to the loan process again. So I think people are now realizing we can't circle back. No way. You better talk to the knuckleheads now. So that leaves us with to pay or not to pay. Think how far removed we are from cakes on a stick. Anybody remember cakes on a stick? Cakes on a stick was the genius idea of the governor of Ohio. I remember talking about it, laughing at it, and thinking, wow, he's going to get the Nobel Prize. Because not long after, this is during the whole vax ramp up, vaccines are available. Government officials are saying, you got to get in, you got to get in. And remember, he sat there in a 45-minute boring news conference or speech, I guess. The governor of Ohio said, we're even offering cakes on a stick. And I said, that's it. We're going to be at 100% vaccination rates for cakes on a stick. And apparently cakes on a stick haven't worked. Shockingly, cakes on a stick have not worked. Now we got to pay. Yep, here you go. As vaccination efforts, this is just an opinion, but we are this desperate, and I'm going to ask you taxpayers, are you in? Cash. No more lotto tickets, no more cigarettes, no more condoms, no more beer, no more cake on a stick. We're now talking cash. Just cash. Granddad, get out of the recliner and get the vaccine. Here's $1,500. All right? Do it. We've had enough already. If you're not going to listen to Geraldo get mad at you, we're going to give you some cash. As vaccination efforts approach an expected tipping point, we're there. We're there. And everyone's frustrated. Anti-vax rage, right? At which the amount of available vaccine exceeds the number of willing participants, with the rate of vaccination far below the threshold required for herd immunity, paying people to take their shots likely offers our society's best chance at stemming the pandemic. All right, taxpayers, are you in, and for how much? No more prizes. They ran their course. It didn't work. MAGA hat said, F you, I'll take your cigarettes, and I'm still not going to get the vaccine. MAGA hat says, I'll take the condoms and the beer, and I'm not going to get the vaccine. Take that. Now it's cash. MAGA hat, take the cash. Private employers, including American Airlines, Marriott, and Dollar General, have already taken the lead in this regard, but payouts are generally low. An extra day off for a few hours of pay, the sooner the government starts offering larger cash incentives to the public, the safer all of us will be. You ready for the price tag? You're not going to like it. Okay. You're not going to want, your hands are going to shake. When you hand that guy in that wife beater t-shirt who's had 5 packs of cigarettes, who's going to lecture you about his body. Oh, I'm careful what I put in my body, right? That dude. You don't want to talk to him. You're not very happy with him, but you are not going to put that mask back on and you are not going to go home. So give him cash. $1,500. This is why we're about to get pissed. This is why Geraldo out in the wilderness, who's shirtless in a jockstrap, this is why Geraldo's pissed. This is why we're all starting to get a little pissed. The fact that you may have to pay that guy or that woman $1,500. I don't know what the right amount is. I don't have that answer, but we're desperate and we're mad and we're desperate. Maryland U.S. Representative John Delaney has proposed $1,500. Now, the opinion goes on to say this. I don't know about the rest of this. I do think that cash works. It works on all of us. I do agree the prizes have a shelf life. Cake on a stick had a nice little bump. Condoms, nice little bump. Beer, the bump. Lotto tickets. But cold cash will do it. Are you ready? Financial incentives have been shown to be highly effective in persuading patients to obtain a wide range of medical services. I've never heard of this. Apparently, this is a thing. Maybe you know more about this than I. I'm finding this a little hard to believe, but cash works. Wide range of medical services, from complying with treatments for tuberculosis and hypertension, to attending weight loss programs and showing up for postpartum medical appointments, give parents cash coupons, and they even are more willing to take their children to the dentist. Have we been doing that? Have we been doing that? Okay. So the argument is this person that's been involved in this stuff is saying, listen, I mean, you're not going to be happy about it. You're not comfortable with it, but we've reached that point, and the price tag right now appears to be $1,500. Who goes first?
From the Hot Pie Media Studios in Austin, Texas, it's the Jeff Ward Show. Listen at jeffwardshow.com.